I'm Karl Konrad, the founder of Australian Immigration Law Services right here in Sydney, and this is the weekly edition of Australian Immigration News. Thanks for joining me tonight, and let's get straight into what has been happening in the world of migration down under. Dominating the migration news this week was the continuing soap opera drama about the release of 81 refugee detainees who were refused their visas based upon prior criminal convictions and their home country's refusal to take them back.
We believe that non-citizens who have committed very serious criminal offences, including sexual offences, should not continue to remain in Australia.
Nevertheless, they are free now and have strict visa conditions placed upon them.
What this means is that these people are restricted to certain types of employment. They must report in person to authorities, in some instances daily.
Unfortunately, this continuing drama has diverted the attention of the ministers away from the more important tasks of migration reforms we are all waiting for news of. The New South Wales government has finally released their sponsorship requirements for the 491 visa, and in typical New South Wales tradition, it is the last date to do so. There are two pathways to use if you want to apply. The first one is where you directly apply to the New South Wales government, and the second one is just putting in your EOI and praying that you get invited. For Pathway 1, you must be currently living in a designated area of New South Wales continuously for 12 months. You must be working for a single regional New South Wales-based employer in your nominated occupation or closely related occupation. Your salary must be a minimum of $70,000 for a 38-hour week, so we're talking about full-time employment only. Now, Pathway 2 is open to onshore and offshore applicants. If you are onshore, you must have been living for at least 3 months in New South Wales. If you are offshore, you must have been outside of New South Wales for at least 3 months. New South Wales will prioritise the expression of interest for occupations that fall under the key industry sectors such as health, education, ICT, infrastructure and agriculture. And remember everybody that New South Wales is fussy about those so-called deeming dates. If your skill assessment has one, be very careful about this issue. If you're not sure, have a look at the common reasons for a refusal page on their website. In between fronting Parliament to answer questions about the released detainees this week, the Minister found time to give a speech at the Australian National University. He spoke about the aims of the Albanese government in strengthening social cohesion and democracy, and part of that process was developing a well-run immigration department where abuses of the past would not be tolerated. He outlined how the use of the protection visa applications to extend people's stay in Australia is now a thing of history. He stated those who are seeking to exploit the system and are applying simply to extend their stay in Australia will swiftly be refused. Part of the building of a well-run immigration department, he outlined the continuing investment of staff and resources, where he said, "Put simply, you cannot reform your way out of a dysfunctional visa system. You can only work hard, take one step at a time, and address the delay and uncertainty." With this in mind, the Albanese government has added more than 680 additional staff to support the visa system since May 2022. The number of temporary visa applications waiting to be assessed has reduced by about 70%. Visa applications for teachers and nurses are being turned around in a matter of days, whereas it previously took over 7 weeks. Unfortunately, the issue of delays in provisional permanent residency applications seem to be ignored. Those who write in consistently about the years they are waiting for their 300, 309, 491, 489 and more visas, I'm sorry to say there does not seem to be an avenue to force this government to acknowledge or address the problem. We can only hope this investment in staff will eventually flow on to the provisional PR visas as well. Certainly, the shortage of available homes to live in is also on the Minister's radar, as an example of how migration can ease these pressures. He is quoted in a recent Sydney Morning Herald article as saying, "One of the skill shortages that we're experiencing is the skills we need from migrants to build the houses in Australia. There is little doubt that construction workers in the near future will replace teachers and nurses as the most needed occupations in the country." And speaking of the highest demand for workers, Jobs and Skills Australia released a report this week showing the top 20 vocational courses associated with the highest percentage of students employed after training. Interestingly, the number one position goes to a Certificate 3 in Correctional Practice. However, it is understandable that most people do not want to work in the prison system, so no doubt this has something to do with the best employment outcome. The Diploma of Nursing is on the list along with the Certificate 3 in Air Conditioning and Refrigeration, and both of these courses are available to international students. And now it's time for one of our readers' comments, and tonight it is fitting to find one relating to the New South Wales state sponsorship requirements for the 491 and 190 skilled visas. Estelle, who has been a long-time contributor to the comments page on our channel, writes in and says, for those people seeking New South Wales 190 and 491 nomination in the 23 to 24 financial year, there is a subtle but easy to miss new requirement in the 23 to 24 financial year being added compared to the 22-23 financial year. You cannot modify your EOI after receiving an invitation from New South Wales. The New South Wales government says they will check the last update in your EOI to ensure compliance. If you log into your Skill Select account, there is a DOA correspondence section that records every time you make any change to your EOI, regardless of the reason. I guess the New South Wales government will check that section to know if you modify the EOI post-invitation. This new requirement did not exist in the previous financial year. The moral of the story is check your EOI thoroughly and make sure it is flawless while you wait for the New South Wales 190 and 491 invitation. Estelle, you are absolutely correct and well pointed out. Now remember that all state sponsorship selection is a very subjective operation. They have invited you for a number of reasons, and no doubt these rules by New South Wales are designed to ensure that there have been no changes to your circumstances after you receive the invitation. For example, if your EOI has you working in your nominated occupation in New South Wales, but later when you apply to New South Wales they find out that you left that job 12 months ago but you did not update that effect in your EOI, they may get a little upset. They want to be sure your EOI accurately reflects who you are and what you've been doing. However, it is important to add that there should be some ability for the New South Wales government to be flexible and reasonable when dealing with people. They should realise skilled people lead busy lives and that many people may have simply forgotten to update things on their EOIs. An invitation email from the New South Wales government to apply for a nomination may result in reminding them that they should update some changes on their EOIs. For example, they may change their address to their new suburb and simply update their postcode. These updates may be completely immaterial to the application and personal in nature. Is Investment New South Wales prepared to discard highly valued applicants simply because they changed their postcode on their EOI? Seems kind of crazy to me. So no big changes this week, but the migration world is never boring. If you need help navigating the system or got yourself into trouble with a visa application, remember we are always here to lend a helping hand. We only close for public holidays. Like the Immigration Department, our office never stops. You can book an appointment anytime with Pat or Hay over the phone, or check out our online booking page first just to check the available times. As always, take care out there and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.